The disappearance of Malinda Boyd. The disappearance of Malinda still remains an unsolved history. It's a cold case file. Oral history, as told by the elders, is that she was an unlisted passenger aboard the Titanic. She was traveling as a personal caregiver with a European contractor. April 1912, the Titanic hit an iceberg. I thought about jumping overboard, says Malinda, but I was too scared. Then I thought about sliding down the ropes, but oh my God, they were shooting and all black faces in sight, nor will they give us life jacket. Then the water forced me into the sea. I swam towards European lifeboat, but they pushed me away. Then a big, large wave grabbed me, and it forced me. It twisted me around like I was dancing. Of course, my ancestors continued to search. They used dancing to tell the stories. They told it through folklore. They told it through history. They danced and they danced. And they continued to search and search for me. But I remained lost at sea forever. But you know what? Our ancestors always come back to tell you can't keep our history hidden from us. Well, good evening, members. I'm so excited to get to know all of you. I think about you guys all the time. Sometimes I feel like I'm just neglecting you guys. I am learning. We're learning together. And from this point on, I will be having more one-on-one time with you guys. But I am starting with the book, okay? So you guys going to start with, right here, I'm starting on page 4 about this planet Cyrus. Now, this all ties into the book. This ties into, where were you? Are you indigenous to this country? Or were your family one of the ones that was kidnapped over here? So we're looking at the doggone people. The doggone tribe plays a big role in my auntie Melinda Borden and myself. Grandfather always told me the story of the doggone tribe and how they were the first one to tell the story of the two stars in the sky, which was Sirius A and Sirius B. Those two planets were up there. Now, they were talking about these planets before satellite came. So satellite came. When the satellite came, maybe since by 1812, they were talking about this star. That's when they started documenting and paying attention to the doggone tribe, because they possess advanced knowledge of the universe. The doggone tribe of West Africa possess ancient, sophisticated knowledge of the universe, in particular of the star Sirius B, which remained unknown to scientists until 1862. So satellite came, and then there they were. They were wondering, how did this tribe know about these planets up there? How did the doggone gain their advanced awareness of the sky? So grandfather always taught me about it. I would sit on the porch with him at nighttime and we would look, and we had to find that star, y'all. I had to know that planet. So anyway, this is called Cyrus on page 8. Cyrus, the doggone star. And the reason I ask y'all that, because a lot of blacks have been traced back to West Africa, back to the doggone tribe. Most of us has been traced. And then we're going to talk about the Olmec civilization.
That was a civilization that was so old to it predated the Bible. It was a black advanced civilization already here in the Mesoamerica that traced the doggone many of the like the trees, the rubber tree. That tree, the rubber tree that they brought over here, then initially grew over here. So they were saying that they had to bring those seeds from West Africa here in America in order for that tree to be here. But anyway, I remember Planet Cyrus or the Dog Star. I'm reading out of my book, y'all. He called it to my grandfather. Cyrus is your ancestor planet. Like I said, most of your DNA, if you go in that DNA bank, it's going to trace you to West Africa. And a lot of us been traced to the doggone tribe. What's more, another melanated planet that's unknown to archaeology. Archaeology is a black planet. It's a black planet up there. These are true, y'all. That travels. It blocks the sun and overshadow it as it passes. Man called it an eclipse. They call it an eclipse because they don't understand what's going on. But according to the doggone tribe and my grandfather, it's so it's called an eclipse. They define it as the blocking out of light from one object and the invention of another object. Yeah, so it blocks out the light, that black planet, as it crosses over the sun or the moon, but what they call it an eclipse. Anyway, they say the moon blocks the sun, but the moon is not involved. It is the black planet, you see, which causes the eclipse. The dark planet doesn't reflect light, so as it travels in front of the sun, it blocks it. The sky becomes black. What's more, the black planet is hidden in the shadow of the moon and it's always up there, you guys. It was in 1982. I was in an eclipse in Houston, Texas. Oh man, it was so dark till you couldn't even put your hands out and see it. Round about 12 o'clock in the afternoon, too. Now, when the first Earth was started, it was 700 melanated men and 700 melanated women who landed on planet Earth. That's what 144,000 dark people come from in the Bible, you guys. This is our history. There is where the 144 in the Bibles come from. It was copied from our ancestors' history of the arrival of the earth, said Grandpa. He said it because our ancestor uses the stars as compass. Paleface copied it. Then they flipped it, having the wise man in the Christmas stories following a star, which we call Jesus, known as Caesar Borgia. Well, that star they supposed to have been following is Cyrus, y'all. According to the Dogon tribe, communication with our ancestors from Cyrus was constant, and the universe is saturated with melanated gases. Without a doubt, we were travelers by sea and space and land. Our knowledge of the stars help us to navigate around the globe. We are the first people on the planet. Then Grandpa points to the sky. Look up, girl. Look, he says. Observe the heaven. Much like the flowers, with each delicate details in place, the stars are perfectly. Now we're gonna go back. Now I'm gonna go back to page 3. Yeah, 4 or 5. Page 5 is called the Almanac. The Amet. So the Amet could be your relative, but I definitely look like him. So my name is Malinda Borden, and my parents were John and Sarah Borden, who was from Alabama. But I decided to visit a family member who lived in Chicago in hope of a better life. In the meantime, I was traveling back and forth from Southampton, New England to Chicago, Illinois quite often. I was a fashion designer selling clothes in England. It began when I got hired at age 23 as a nurse from one of the richest white family in Chicago. So, what I'm trying to tell y'all is that in 1862, the discovery of African giant colossal heads were excavated by archaeologists. John T. Sereno, he wrote, and I quote, as a work of art without exaggeration, a magnificent sculpture. But what amazed me was that the type represented an Ethiopian and African. That civilization that they found, you guys, here in America. And they were African free featured. And here this archaeologist was shocked. He's saying they had African features. I concluded that there's no doubt that these were Negro, they were black in the region and from the earliest world, predating the Bible. Then again, evacuation of an advanced African civilization, predating the Bible by the archaeologist Matthew Sterling. 1939 was discovered in Mesoamerica. Giant colossal head weighing 20 to 40 tons. Black men. I mean, they still wonder today, how did they make such giant heads out of boulders? Them head was big as a mountain, one head. Well, the Bible said there were once giants on earth. I don't know if they were giants or not, but those sculptures were giant. 20 to 40 tons. Of course, over 200 pieces of stone heads were recorded. As more digging, the colossal head uh, indicated earlier days of African living in Mesoamerica before Christian religion. We never had an organized religion, you guys. European organized religion. We were spiritual, but we never had an organized religion. The features are bold and amazing Negroid in character by Matthew Sterling, 1939. Despite cave dwellers and tree climbers, like the European history, want to make us look like, yeah, we climbing in trees, living in huts. Scientists admit that the Olmec had a high elite status group. The revelation of military status and a highly advanced political and a sensitive penal system was present as opposed to primitive living. And you can get the secrets of the Olmecs by the Black Angel Media. Some Negroes like myself, like you, are direct descendant of Olmec, which they migrated in America from Africa, said Grandpa. And other Negroes were kidnapped and forced to America for Africa. Which one are you? Can you trace your ancestors all the way back? How far can you go? Now, what would have asked? I don't know my mother's mother. Don't know her. And I wish I would have asked more about my mother's mothers. Well, my grandfather, mother, and my grandfather people, and my grandmother people, because I mean, they would have been born like in the 1700s, but I still wished I would have asked more questions. What would you would ask? What that someone that's passed, that's the oldest one in your family, what would you ask them? Anyway, we are all African. There is no way you can get around it, he added. The Olmec tribe didn't disappear. We are here in America and can be traced back to the doggone tribe of Mali. We are still here. So yeah, all these archaeologists said that they're so old, so they predate the Bible. So Negro presence was here in America way before Christopher Columbus. This taken out of the book, The Black Titanic. I'm not going to start there. I'm just giving y'all this because the first few pages is trying to establish to y'all where we're from. It goes way back, predating the Bible, how I'm tracing the ancestors, possibly the Olmec civilization is where my family stem from. So that's what I'm trying to establish with you guys, right? Then I talked about the doggone tribe, which is very another sophisticated tribal people. Now they have been on this earth. These people in Africa predate the Bible. They predate Jesus too, you guys. The doggone tribe of a lot of us. A lot of our DNA is traced there. This is Black Titanic. Hit that like button, share, and subscribe. This is the Olmec civilization, proving that blacks was in America before Christopher Columbus. They have fossils and all kinds of artifacts to show that blacks was here. And even the artifacts predate the Bible, yes. But anyway, we are still here. Notice the military helmet and the back of the Olmec's head. Locks or braid. African has always been skilled navigators, and the notions that African beat the European to the New World meant that they were highly intelligent. So the big lie begins that Christopher Columbus discovered America. During the 1940s, evidence of a advanced black civilization exists thousands of years before the red man and Columbus discovered America. Archaeology discovered bones and sculptured images and artifacts. The word Olmec means Amit, rubble people, and was part of Mesoamerican civilization, which thrived from 1200 to 400 BC, before Christ, you guys, and had a military, sophisticated penal system, and a booming economic base. They spoke Naha, and they were businessmen as they traveled along the coast, trading goods with others and developing agricultural crops. This is the Olmec civilization. Olmec, they were here before Christopher Columbus. We are still here. We are the Olmec civilization.